So in this AdSkills video, we're going to be doing an entire review of the Wicked Reports reporting tool. More on that right after this. So what I'm going to cover in this review, first of all, we're going to talk about what exactly Wicked Reports is. It's important to understand what it is and what it isn't. Then I want to talk about who it's for. I want to make sure it's very clear that we don't recommend this for all businesses. It's only for specific businesses that have certain business models. So I want to make sure who it's for and who it's not. Then I want to talk about what is it really good at? What's the value you're going to get from it? Because the difference between Wicked Reports and something like Google Analytics is it's a paid tool. So you have to understand what the value you're going to get out of it in order to make sure that you're justifying that cost. And if you're getting into it for the wrong reasons, you're not going to like it because you're paying for something it doesn't do. So I'm going to explain what it's great at and what it's not. And then finally, I just want to tell you why I'm a Wicked Reports fan. I don't do these types of reviews for any company. We're not in this for the affiliate game. We want to do this because we want to make sure people are very successful with these tools. And so I want to make sure I go in deep and cover why it is that I really love this company outside of the tool itself. A couple bonus material. First of all, I did an interview with the CEO of Wicked Reports, Scott Desgrosseilliers, so it's going to walk you through why it's a great tool and really who it's for and who it's not. I asked him to kind of dive in and do what I'm going to call a no bullshit review on who should be using this and who shouldn't. Then I want to walk through the expectations on setup time. That's the most important thing to me. I want you to know, A, that I've used this before. It's not just some product that we're recommending. And I understand the expectations for how long it takes to get to the good data that you're looking for. And so I want to make sure you have those expectations in place. Finally, why listen to me? So if you don't know who I am, my name is John Belcher. I'm the teacher here at AdSkills. And I do traffic and tracking for a living. That's the only thing that I do with my time. I love it. And I use Wicked Reports a ton. I recommend it to clients. I've had them pay for it because it delivers such amazing value. So I really think it's important to understand not just what the tool does, but how you actually use it within a business. And that's what I'll make sure I add that context for you today. So the first thing I want to cover is where most people go wrong with Wicked Reports, because getting into it for the wrong reasons is going to make sure that you don't like the tool, and that's not what I want you to end up at. So let's talk about where people go wrong. It's not a miracle cure. Wicked Reports is not some magic pill that you put on your website and all of a sudden all your tracking issues go away. That's really the biggest thing that people run into. That's really a problem with tracking. So first and foremost, it is an amazing tool, and I'm excited to dive into why it is amazing. But really, it needs data, and you have to provide it with that data. So it has automatic integrations for your paid traffic sources, your leads, and your sales. But you also have to be tracking the other things that are coming to your website. Are you using UTMs in your emails, on your social posts, from your YouTube tutorials, from your Instagram posts? All of those things need to be tracked so you can understand the amount of revenue that's being generated within the business. Otherwise, all you're going to get from this is your paid traffic efforts, and then you're going to see, okay, my ROI on that, which is huge. That's why we really recommend it. But also you want to see how of your organic efforts, how much of those are generating revenue. It's a really, really big deal to be able to see that so you can understand your ROI on your time instead of your money. So that's something that's really, really important to do. And you have to provide that data. It's something that you have to have all of those tags built. It's really a set of habits. And so if you don't actively have those habits, if you don't have UTM tracking on every single thing that you're doing in your marketing, I've put a link down below to our mini course called Tracking 101. It's a pay what you want course. Make sure you go check that out so you can set yourself up for success before you get into a tool like this where you're paying a couple $100s a month for analytics. So please make sure you check that out if you don't really think that you've got those tracking habits in place. So now that you kind of understand that you have to have that baseline, that foundation in place, let's talk about who Wicked Reports is for, because it's not for everyone. So good fits for Wicked Reports fall in the lead generation, the e-commerce businesses that have multiple sales and build relationships and LTV over time, and the long-term relationship businesses. So really the point here is if you're doing something in a very small window, and I'll talk about the bad fits in a second, but if you're doing something in a single transaction, it's really not the right fit. You're looking at businesses that have longer-term relationships with their customers. When I think about Wicked Reports, and we'll get into what makes it really valuable, but I want to see from the first time they interact with the business to the point where they've completed their life cycle journey with the business, and that usually includes multiple purchases over time. From the CMO perspective, you want to understand the first point that brought someone to the business so you can continue to invest in those types of campaigns. That's what Wicked Reports does well, is these types of lead generation, multi-sale, and long-term relationship businesses. What it is not good for: affiliates, This is a terrible fit for you because you're basically looking at one-off transactions. You don't own the customer. So utilizing this for if any affiliates watching this, don't do it. It's not the right fit. And Scott will tell you here in a minute on his own interview that's not the right fit for you. One and done drop shipping businesses. Once again, you're not really trying to build a relationship with the customer. Don't do it. And then finally, small businesses who can't afford a monthly analytics plan. What I really consider Wicked Reports a scaling tool. We talk about in my conversion tracking master's course about I use Google Analytics on every single business, no matter the size, because it's great at real-time reporting and has standardization within it. The biggest thing for me is until you hit a certain size, you can actually use last click attribution, but you're always going to hit a plateau of the point where saying, all right, from the direct response side, we've kind of capped out here. Now you have to move into that next phase. It's not brand marketing, but it's a little bit what we call directionally accurate direct response, where you're putting money in and you're directing organic search volume, or you're pushing people through different channels in order to be able to continue to increase your sales. It's kind of as the tide rises, all boats rise with that. And so that's really kind of the point you get to. And that's what Wicked Reports is great for, is once you get off that last click attribution and have to grow, you want to make sure you're investing in the right channels. And that's what it really helps you do, is understand which channels, which campaigns, which ads are generating new leads that are turning into customers over time. So these are the bad fits. That's what makes the good fits. So I want you to go through and hear this from the CEO himself. I just gave you the cliff notes, but Scott actually has done an interview with me. It's just a couple minutes long. And really, I asked him for no bullshit answers. I'm not trying to do this as a sales pitch for him. I want him to explain who has the most success with his product and who doesn't. So I'm going to cut over to that interview. He'll just spend a couple minutes chatting about it, and then we'll be able to come back and finish the rest of this review. So I got the chance to sit down with Scott Desgrosseilliers. He's the CEO of Wicked Reports. And one of the things I really want to do with a full review is make sure that we talk about truly who is this the right fit for and the wrong fit for. And I thought the guy who's built this from scratch and seen every customer possible, who would know better about this is the right fit for this business and the wrong fit for this business. So Scott, can you just give us a couple parameters? Who is this a great fit for, and who is this just be a waste of time and energy for?
Sure. The first thing is we want you to be spending at least $3,000 a month, because we need enough data points to be able to help you. And we found that was the minimum amount where we're able to help you grow your business, because that's the whole point of Wicked Reports, is to use the data to grow. The other thing is you need to have access to the sales, because all of our reporting is based on real customers and real revenue. So if you're an affiliate marketer that doesn't have access to your revenue, then that's not going to work. The other thing is if you're a commodity e-commerce marketer, meaning something like a photo stick or toothbrushes or something everyone already knows about and is just going to search and buy immediately without any real deliberation, you can get enough value from Google or Facebook's reporting already where it's an immediate decision and a very low cost item in a quick time to sale. We work best when you have a slightly longer cycle, or where there's a lead nurture involved, and when you're doing multiple channels. Basically, the more complex your sales cycle is, the more value you're going to get. People that have repeat customers, subscription, or high ticket sales down the road, we're able to show that high lifetime value back to where you found the customer. Those are people that are raving fans of ours. I think that covers it. Okay, perfect. So in the next part of this video, Scott, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't wasting your time with this review. So if you don't fit the criteria that Scott was talking about, you can probably say at this point, Wicked Reports is not the right fit for me. If you do fit in that criteria, I'm going to walk you through the different pieces of the tool and talk about why this is such a valuable tool from our perspective, looking at long-term, the lifetime value of customers, the reports that we found to be so important, and really helping you guide your investment with your paid traffic strategy. All right, so once again, let's dig in and let's talk about why Wicked Reports is so valuable. And really for me, this is how can it help you make more money? That's what's really important here. So big picture, the three things for me is first touch attribution. You can understand once you kind of hit that plateau with direct response or last click attribution, you can move to this piece where you're understanding where you're bringing people into your sphere of influence and their journey over time to becoming a customer, as well as their full lifetime value. Detailed ROI metrics. The thing that I love, AdSkills is a paid traffic, education community. Really what we care about is understanding the ROI on our paid traffic efforts. That's literally what Wicked Reports was built for. It's got amazing integrations with Facebook and Google, and then they're starting to integrate more and more traffic sources.
but the ability to see not only from this campaign how much do we spend and how much we make, all the way down to the ad level and even the placement level inside of Google is just incredible. So the ability to pull all that information in and see the detailed ROI metrics with that is amazing. And then finally, the most important thing is missed opportunities. I'll dive into those here in a second, but really it's helping you see which campaigns you stopped running that you should still be investing in. So first touch attribution, as I said before, last touch attribution like Google Analytics, you hit a plateau. You get to a point where you're, okay, I'm not making any more money once I hit past this scale, or I'm not able to scale past this number of sales without losing money. And so you'll find over time you're kind of having to play with your budget on a daily basis to say, here's the point where we're maximizing profit. But the big thing there is those are the people that are willing to buy on the first click. And we know that pretty much only between 2 and 4% of people are really willing to buy on the first click. So if you want to get the other 96 to 98% of customers that are available and coming to your website, you have to understand how their process to purchase goes and where you can continue to invest to get the right people in that are now taking their time, they're reading more information, they're looking at reviews, they're working their way through the process in order to be able to purchase your product. You have to be able to understand which of those campaigns are generating those leads and then those sales. That's what Wicked Reports is incredible at. It can tie together anonymous snippets that came from an ad campaign and didn't opt in, but then they came back later through organic search and became a lead, and now it could say, okay, this ad campaign now created this lead, and then 2 months later when they decide to actually buy the product, now it can say, all right, this particular purchase started all the way back with this Facebook or YouTube ad 3 months ago. That's what makes this so powerful, is the ability to look at it over the course of time and understand where you should continue to invest your money. That's what I love about this tool. And from that perspective, once you understand which channels are creating those valuable leads, that's going to direct your scaling strategy. You're going to say, okay, we have this amount of budget. We want to invest half of it in direct response and the other half in generating really quality leads. Well, if you don't have that last touch attribution, it's really hard to understand where you should spend that money. Wicked Reports gives you it's really your roadmap on where you should be spending to scale your business. And so to me, that is invaluable to understand. You're basically seeing it into the future of, if we invest in these campaigns, they're going to generate profitable leads. That's something that you can't even equate. Like, that's one of the most valuable pieces of information you can have when it comes to scaling. And so that really helps with your scaling strategy and helps that top of funnel investment strategy. Those are two of the most important things to me whenever it comes to scaling a client. From the detailed ROI reporting, this is once again one of my favorite things. Is from the direct response side or the long-term attribution, we're able to see the amount of revenue generated versus how much we've spent, everywhere from the campaign level down to the ad set, down to the ad. And in Google, you can even determine the placements that are producing the most valuable people. So if you're running a Google Display Network campaign, you can say people who came from Newsmax are 3 times more valuable than people who came from Fox News. That's a pretty powerful stat. And so being able to understand where you should invest your money, not only to generate sales, but to generate the highest quality sales, is a very big deal. And then once again, the biggest thing to me is that lead is now stored forever. So whenever that person purchases within your business, you're going to know what traffic source, what ad set, which ad, what placement drove them there, and be able to look at that in a cohort to say, all right, these people are clearly the most valuable. Let's really make sure we spend as much as we can here. Here's the angle that has generated the most, profitable people for the business. That's how you continue to guide your investment strategy as you look to scale things up. The last piece is the missed opportunities. This is what I absolutely love. So a lot of us invest on short-term ROI. We're not looking at 90-day windows when it comes to ad campaigns. If we did, we'd all be out of money. What really is awesome is Wicked Report says, we understand that you're optimizing probably on a 3 to 7 day window to see if you can make your money back. And you may be investing over the long term, but I imagine you're not spending on a campaign for 90 days to see if it works. What Wicked Reports does is it tracks those leads that you've generated, and it's going to monitor them over, as long as they're stored within the database. But once you kind of hit that 90 or 120 day point, I heard an interesting stat yesterday that 94% of people become customers in your business between days 91 and like 1,605 after they first interacted with your business. That's a really big chunk of people that are becoming customers down the road. Wicked Reports helps you track from day 0 all the way through there to understand which campaigns drove valuable customers. And then it's going to basically say, hey, you turned off a winner. you need to go back and turn this campaign back on because, yes, it's not generating customers in the first 3 days, but it's generating very valuable customers in the long run. So continuing to invest here, this is the angle, the education piece that's making a really big difference and helping generate very profitable customers in the long run. That's one of the things that's most valuable to me is it lets me to keep focusing on that short window and then go back and look at the data and say, hey, here's kind of the big picture that we're missing out on. So hugely valuable piece of information that I really recommend you check out as you go through the demo call before you get set up. It makes a huge difference. So now let's talk about what Wicked Reports is not good at. If you're looking for these things, you shouldn't buy it because it's not built for this. So what Wicked Reports does not do well is real-time reporting and event tracking yet. Really what this is a database that's tying together acquisition information with lead and purchase information in the long run to make sure that you can understand the big picture of where the investments are working within your business. If you're looking for day zero stuff, make sure you're using Google Analytics. I always, with every client where we have Wicked Reports, we have Google Analytics built right next to it. Because Google Analytics helps us look in day 0, day 1, day 2 to make sure that we're understanding the performance of our campaigns. Wicked Reports is for the long run. And so if you're trying to get it for, if you're trying to have one analytics source and be able to look at real-time reporting within Wicked Reports, you're going to be very unhappy. So I would go in with the strategy of having those two. You've got something that helps you focus on the short term and then something that helps with the big picture. And then most importantly to me, event tracking is really big to understand the different pieces of your funnel. What percentage of people are adding to cart, initiating checkout, actually putting in their shipping information and purchasing. That's not something that Wicked Reports does yet, but I've had a long discussion with Scott on why that would be so valuable. So I'm hoping that's something he's willing to put in the future. It'll make a huge difference. Now you can determine your cost per whatever step in the funnel and understand which of your campaigns are generating the most interested people who may not have purchased on that first day, but they made their way down the funnel. They've expressed a lot of interest. So that angle is working well or something that you can go through and tweak. So I think if you've got those two things, you understand that it doesn't do this well yet, then walking in there and understanding that combination you need with Google Analytics and Wicked Reports, you're going to be in a great spot. So let's talk for a second about why I love Wicked Reports. This is all of the non-feature reasons that I love them. So I couldn't think of a good image here, so I use Agnes because I love Agnes from Despicable Me bouncing her cheeks. She's just a cute little girl and she makes me happy. And so the reason that I love Wicked Reports is it's really great because it's a company that has a big vision and manages a ton of money and data, but they're really working at startup speed. They've got a great team that's focused on building the best product and creating features that their customers actually need. And so that's really important to me as someone who's not working like an enterprise ship that takes forever to turn. They've been quick and nimble and they've been able to add features and adjustments. And Scott also talks about how can he come up with great new ideas that are going to be helpful to his customers. Talking about building custom audiences inside of Facebook and Google automatically that are showing people who have engagement or they interacted with ads. He's working on those things all the time, which is really important for me. Second, they have an amazing support team. I absolutely love the reps that we've worked with. Amanda is incredible. And so I highly recommend as you get in, you really build a good relationship with your support team. There's always going to be bugs with data that you have to go through and figure out why is this not working? How can we make this thing work together? And that's really important to me is to make sure that support's there. It's not like Google Analytics where you send out an email and maybe within the next 16 months you'll hear back from somebody. So that's really important to me. And then finally, like I said, they're always focused on developing useful features. They actually take customer feedback. They're looking on, proactively on ways they can deliver more value. So that's really important to me in the long run. So let me just talk for a second about the expectations as you're going to go through and set up your Wicked Reports accounts. Expectations are everything, and so I want to make sure that you give it the amount of time it needs so you can get the data that you need out of it. So the time it takes to get useful data. So basically on day 0, you're going to place your pixels, you're going to connect your traffic sources. But here's the thing, it's going to go through and you can upload your historical orders, you can go through and connect to your email system, and it'll pull in all of your email list and look at people over time. But basically on day 0, it's pretty much useless because yes, you may be able to look at lifetime value and things like that, which are great. But the real data that you're looking for is the acquisition source. And right now it doesn't have any of that information. It's got your current email list, your current sales list, but now it needs to get data pumped into it so it can start tying those things together. Useful data usually starts to accumulate in the first 30 days. So that's that piece for me where I kind of set it up. I'm going in to check and make sure that the data is working, that it's getting the things it needs from the ad networks, from the email lists, from the sales side. I want to make sure that all of those pieces are correctly integrated, and if there's anything that we need to fix based on the customer setup, then we can go through and do that. But I'm not going to actually get anything very useful out of it for the first 30 days. Once we hit that 30-day mark, we can start looking at a little bit short-term windows on our campaigns, understanding which ones are generating ROI and which ones are not. Use that, for the next 2 months to really get to that point where we're understanding what's working and what's not. The invaluable data really starts to be generated in the first 90 days. So that's that piece where you start to get missed opportunities where it says, hey, you stopped spending on this campaign 90 days ago, but in that last 90 days, it's generated X amount of revenue. So this is a very profitable campaign because you're not currently spending on it. Why don't you put some money back into it, and then we'll start to see over time how much you can get to invest in this particular campaign to continue to grow the business. So once again, first day 0, nothing's really going to be very useful. Day 30, you start to get useful campaign information. Day 90 is that time when it's really, really valuable. So I know it's kind of hard to think about an entire quarter of waiting to get super valuable data. To me, this is something you're building for the long run to scale your systems. So it's absolutely worthwhile to go through and get the data in right now. So 3 months from now, you can be at that point where you have that invaluable data that's going to guide your business as you continue to scale. So why does it take this time? No previous acquisition. You have to work out those little data kinks that are coming from all the pieces of the system that Wicked Reports is marrying together. And then once again, those missed opportunities take a lot of time to generate. So I know you watched this video because you wanted to figure out if Wicked Reports was the right tool for you. And just as a thank you, we put together a deal for you with Scott from Wicked Reports just because you watched this and spent 20 minutes of your life. So since you're going to have now the right expectations of be a good fit for Wicked Reports and understand what it takes to be successful, he said whenever you go through the checkout process, use the code AdSkills in all caps to get access to their $500 email course for free. And that's just really our way of extending gratitude for watching this thing. This is Wicked Reports is an amazing tool. We want to make sure it's the right fit for you. And so, this is just kind of a way to sweeten the deal for you. So the reason we think this course is valuable, as you can see here, we've broken down inside of Wicked Reports. It breaks down all of our email promotions. We can see which ones produce revenue, how much they produce, and how they fit. And there's on here on the right side, there's analysis that's showing us why these emails produced well and what we should continue to do in the future. So really a big piece whenever you're running a community or a learning environment to be able to understand which generating your revenue and making sure you continue to hit on those things in the future. So Scott covers all this stuff and how he has been leveraged email to drive a lot of annually recurring revenue using email. So I highly recommend checking it out. As a final thing, thank you again for watching this review. We put together this stuff as much as we possibly can here at AdSkills. So if you found it valuable, make sure to subscribe to the channel, to check out our courses, AdSkills.com, and to join Pro League. It's our Slack environment where you have the ability to come in and ask questions of over 500 paid traffic experts, including myself and Justin Brook. So we hope to see you there. Thanks so much, and don't forget to subscribe.